Pseudo-Emanators. The strange class of cheaters that I had to create a term for because they break so many rules. You see, emanators are people who are given power from an Aeon directly, and pathstriders can draw power from an Aeon's path. Simple, right? But since rules are made to be broken, there are some characters that have received Aeon powers, but not from the Aeon directly. But even with this discrepancy, these people still manage to be head and shoulders above normal pathstriders in terms of power level, which is why I created a term just for them. Pseudo-Emanators. Kinda like pseudo-legendaries in Pokemon. And I didn't create this term just for a single individual, no, because there are way more of them than you think there are, and all of them are broken. I've ranked the Emanators, I've ranked the Pathstriders, and now it is time for Pseudo-Emanators, power scaled, and explained. Okay, so let's start off with the most obvious one who has been disqualified from the previous two videos, rather fittingly, who I'm going to rank in a bizarre yet fitting 0 spot. Because this guy managed to break every rule imaginable to nearly become an Aeon, and that would be Sunday. Not the Trailblazer Sunday, no, I'm talking pre-nerf Sunday. The absolute psycho that nearly used Infinite Tsukiyomi on the entire Dreamscape. His plan was to fuse the power of the Order with the Harmony to summon and manipulate Dominicus. Dominicus is the emanator of the Harmony, and one of Shippei's many forms. Look, don't ask why Shippei is both emanator and Aeon at the same time. The Harmony is just weird like that. Anyway, Dominicus is known as the Wisher with the role of granting wishes. So with the power of Order, Sunday manipulated people into wishing for an eternal dream, then fulfilled that wish with Dominicus, which would have changed the very laws of Penacony, trapping everyone in an eternal dream. It's more complicated than that, admittedly, but that's the TLDR. Sunday found a way to usurp full control over an emanator, so he is the most powerful on this list by far. But again, he's also cheating because the Harmony just makes no sense. So I gave him a spot. That also makes no sense. 0. He's the strongest, but also not on the list. Okay, so that was a wild one to start off with, so let's go back to someone more comparatively simple, right? None other than the master diviner of the Xianzhou Luofu, Fuxuan. Yes, Fuxuan counts as a pseudo-emanator because of her third eye, which was a blessing from Nous of the Erudition. You see, even though the Omniscia was a gift from Nous themselves, the power wasn't given directly. The Foresight ability was granted to the Omniscia, and the Omniscia was given to Fuxuan, making the transfer of power indirect. So if Fuxuan somehow managed to remove the Omniscia, she wouldn't have access to the Foresight anymore. A condition very different from the likes of Acheron or Herta. And in terms of power, Fuxuan's Foresight makes her near unbeatable for any normal opponents, but for someone like a bona fide emanator, she's cooked. See how pseudo-emanators are kinda middle ground for this massive gap in power between pathstriders and emanators? Useful, right? You'll also notice that you can be a pseudo-emanator for a path that you don't even follow. But trust me, it gets crazier than this. Because next up on this list, we have the Remembrances, Memo Keepers, Memo Snatchers, and Cremators. Now, Welt Yang believes them to be straight up emanators, and I kinda agree, but also disagree. Let me explain. Memo Keepers gain their unique composition from Fu Li. It is Fu Li's power that transforms them into mimetic entities that are comprised of memories, meaning that they don't really have a physical body and can turn invisible or even incorporeal. They can also steal and collect memories, which is a terrifying ability because they can just go somewhere, then memory wipe every one of their presence and leave. So technically the only reason why we know they exist at all is because they allow us to. Let that sink in. Theoretically, if threatened, they could just make someone forget how to breathe, and that's really scary. But once again, compared to someone like Herta, or again, Acheron, they are absolutely helpless and get styled on. And in Acheron's case, her mind is a memo keeper's poison, because the power of nihility can delete memories. So the only thing Fu Li did was change their form. To my knowledge, they can't really draw on Fu Li's power the same way Emanators do. And of course, BlackSwan would defeat poor Fuxuan in a fight, because Fuxuan can't really fight back. And here's where things are going to get spicy, because in our 5th spot, we have Aglaya, our gold weaver who people think is blind despite her being able to 1. See her reflection in a mirror, 2. Read things, 3. Do paperwork, and 4. Explicitly telling us that she isn't blind in regards to her eyesight.
Curious about my eyesight? Well, I'm not blind.
Don't trust badly translated leaks, everyone. That is the Enigmata at work in its truest form. Anyway, I am counting Aglaya as a pseudo-emanator here because the Titans of Amphorius are definitely not Aeon level, but are something similar to an emanator in level of strength, though we don't know what path yet. But since Aglaya is a demigod because of her core flame, she is an emanator of an emanator, which could be nothing else but a pseudo-emanator. This is a very flexible term, but it kind of makes sense, right? She doesn't age, she's a skilled fighter, her golden threads and garment makers give her a constant stream of information, kind of like Herta's puppets, and she can witness the truth from what is basically someone's soul. So she doesn't look at people, she kind of looks through them, and that's why her gaze is kind of unfocused at times. And it is this spiritual connection that allows her to dispel the black tide in small amounts. So she is entirely immune to all types of trickery, and this is why she would defeat any mimetic entity in a fight, which earns her a spot in the top 5. But in the 4th spot is where you're gonna see some real power creep, because in this spot we have Aventurine. And as much as I can't stand the IPC, I cannot deny how powerful a cornerstone is. Specifically, Aventurines. Because apparently all cornerstones do different stuff, even though they all hold a portion of Diamond's emanator power. So we have another emanator of an emanator situation. What Aventurine's cornerstone does is it gives him a very strong suit of armor and allows him to use what I like to call domain expansion malevolent 50-50, where he makes it rain with giant coins. A move so strong that it pressured Acheron into using her own emanator power. And even though he got one shot, that is an insane feat. But that's not all. As we know, Aventurine is a child blessed by the Gyanthra Triclops, which is rumored to be the Aeon of Order because he shares her eyes and is impeccably lucky. More info on that theory in a different video. So he is quite possibly a double pseudo-emanator, receiving the power from 2 different Aeons indirectly. Something I don't think Aglaya has an answer for. Moving on, now in a bit of a controversial 3rd spot, we have Blade, the unkillable one himself. The reason why Blade is a pseudo-emanator is because of the sedition of Imbiber Lunae, an accident involving the remains of the emanator of abundance, Shuhu, an emanator so powerful that he brought a planet back to life. That planet was called Rahu, Devourer of Worlds, aka the thing that ate the Xianzhou Tongchong. Yes, Blade in the High Cloud Quintet killed Shuhu. But TLDR, Danfeng made a grave mistake and Blade is now Mara-struck but blessed with infinite regeneration at the same time. He cannot die at all. No matter how much damage he takes or how severe the injury, he feels every ounce of pain, but he will never perish. Blade is also one of the most talented sword forgers ever to grace the Xianzhou. So needless to say, there isn't much Blade's blade can't cut through. So in a fight between Aventurine and Blade, I think Blade would win through attrition. The Cornerstone's power is limited, but Blade's healing isn't. And sticking with the Xianzhou Alliance, in the 2nd spot is our general, the divine foresight, Jing Yuan. This guy is a pseudo-emanator because his lightning lord is a spiritus given by Lan of the Hunt, and every general inherits the subsequent spiritus passed down from generation to generation. Teng Xiao had the lightning lord before, and now Jing Yuan has it. So the power is in the spiritus, not in the person, and that makes the power transfer indirect. So similar to Fuxuan's situation, Jing Yuan is a pseudo-emanator, though he seems to be comparable to one power-wise. Because as we know, his Lightning Lord delivered a finishing blow to Fantilia, who is a confirmed emanator of destruction. A low tier 1, but still. He was also involved in the defeat of Shuhu as a member of the High Cloud Quintet, and is so smart that his plans are considered foresight. hence his title. So in a fight, he and the Lightning Lord would be able to subdue Blade, which would be a task, but since Jingyuan is so smart that he casually beats Fuxuan in chess when she can predict all of his moves beforehand, I'm sure he'd figure it out. So, who could possibly be the strongest of them all? Sharing the unique condition, but still unparalleled in power, none other than the tailless Foxian, the Arbiter General of the Yaoqing, the Merlin's Claw and Borisin Warhead, our lacking General Fei Xiao. Truly lacking in worries, regrets, and rivals. And it's not really that close, because not only is Fei Xiao one of the fastest characters in the universe, but she also has a spiritist called Flying Aureus, which is comparable to the Lightning Lord. But what gives her the edge is her lineage. You see, Fei Xiao isn't just a Foxian, she's also half Borisin, the race blessed by the abundance. And in the ending of the War Dance story, spoiler alert, she consumed Hulei's heart, making her the new Borisin Warhead and granting her Hulei's insane regeneration ability. A regeneration ability so strong that they would need to throw him into a sun to get rid of him. So not only is she blessed by the hunt, but also the abundance. And she wields them both simultaneously with complete awareness and mastery. It doesn't get much stronger than this. Her abilities make her near unbeatable, and the combination of her strengths would make her a match for a full-fledged Emanator. She has speed, strength, and regeneration on her side, and I don't think it's up for debate. Fei Xiao is our strongest Pseudo-Emanator. And that is the Pseudo-Emanators power scaled and explained. Okay, so that is the Pathstriders, Emanators, and Pseudo-Emanators all done and dusted. Now we can properly wait for more info to pour in and more characters to be added that will inevitably change things up. But once again, this will be a fun one to look back on, because as for the Pathstriders video, I've already had to promote Aglaya to a Pseudo-Emanator. So yeah, things will be changing and probably very quickly. But what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace, y'all.